Hello everyone, and welcome to the Compassionate Cowgirl Show, where I teach you how to connect with your horse using compassion, innovation, and self-awareness. And today I wanted to give you guys an update on the Mystic experiment, and Mystic in particular, where she's at with her training, what's been going on with her, and really, hello, she's right here to say hello. And three main ways that I have found have worked really well to boost her confidence. She has gone through a lot of really awesome, incredible changes lately, haven't you, Mystic? And I'm excited to share those with you guys in this episode. So what we're going to do is head into my office, and we are going to take a look at some video footage that we've gotten, some updates of you, right, Mystic? And we're gonna talk through those, and I'm going to really highlight these three methods of really boosting her confidence that has led to some pretty big changes with her. So let's go ahead and head into the office, and I will see you guys in just a minute. So before we dive into the three ways of boosting your horse's confidence that I found through Mystic that really helped her, I wanted to talk just a little bit about what Mystic and I have been up to just in general. So the Mystic experiment was filmed this spring, and now it is October 2019, and she has spent the summer working with me intermittently, pretty briefly. She did some demos during our June immersion program here in Colorado, and I've been playing with her just on and off as I have time, although I've been pretty busy with some other projects that I'll be sharing with you guys soon. So she hasn't had consistent training sessions since this spring, but I am planning on getting back to work with her in Arizona this winter. Now, you are actually going to have a chance to see Mystic live and in person, because this November 2019, I will be having an immersion program in Arizona where you come and immerse yourself in my training methods for 4 days with various horses, and Mystic will be one of the horses that you'll be able to see in training. So there's more information about the immersion program if you guys are interested in meeting Mystic live. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. But that's a little bit about what I've been up to with Mystic as far as her timeline goes. Now diving into the three ways of boosting your horse's confidence that seem to really help Mystic. Method number one of boosting your horse's confidence is influencing the emotions from the outside in. So the way that this came into play with Mystic was teaching her to collect. And when the horse collects, they're in this powerful athletic posture and position. And basically what happens is that the horse is lifting their front end, shifting their weight to their hind end in this athletic type of stance. And I actually taught Mystic to collect through our work with play, if you watched the last episode of the Mystic experiment, and having a really good walking forwards and walking backwards with the target. So once I could have her walk forward with me in sync and back up with me in sync, I was actually able to continue to refine that into a weight shift. So when I would lean forward, Mystic would lean forward. When I would lean back, Mystic would also lean back and shift her weight backwards. And then I had really shaped her headset with the target and the backup, so it kind of all naturally came together that I would kind of point my finger at her chest, which is her backup cue, but continuing asking her to come forwards and follow me. And when you have energy that's going forwards and backwards, what happens is that that energy lifts, right? So I was essentially asking Mystic, okay, come forwards with me, but also at the same time, get back a little bit with my finger. And so when they combine, it raises the energy up for the horse. So through this collection, her movement got just really animated and expressive and playful. And what happened was I noticed she would actually get braver by using this collection in our work. So for example, I could be doing work at the mounting block, and then I might notice Mystic getting, a little at threshold or a little disengaged. So I would come down from the mounting block, something that is something that really requires a lot of trust, and go into the collection work where she's bold and confident. And it really helped to progress her other behaviors and make her more confident overall. So there's a lot of evidence that shows how the body influences the emotions. If you stand with your shoulders back, you're going to feel more confident. If you are in a slouch position, you're going to probably feel disempowered and things like that. So it's been proven in many ways how the body can influence the emotions, but one of my favorite studies that illustrates this has to do with a pencil. So during this study, if participants held a pencil in their teeth, it forced them to smile, like so. And basically they were sitting in front of these cartoons during the study, and the ones who had the pencil sitting in their mouth like that and smiling were likely to judge the cartoons as funnier than participants who held the pencil between their lips, who were forced to frown in that way. So basically, how you were holding the pencil, smiling or frowning between your lips, led you to judge the cartoon as funnier or less funny depending on your body. This is called the facial feedback hypothesis, which basically states that facial movement can influence the emotional experience. So I found that this really helped Mystic in her training. Okay, here's method number 2 for boosting your horse's confidence. Method number 2 of boosting your horse's confidence is using the target to translate. So what I've started doing with Mystic is basically riding her from the ground, meaning that I'm standing in the position I would be in when I'm riding her, back behind her withers, back behind her drive line. I've built up to the point where I can drape my arm over her back and start to give her cues from this position, so that when I do start riding her, she's seeing the cues kind of from a similar position. It's just it's going to be a bit higher, and she's carrying my weight, of course, but it really helps to ease the transition to under saddle. So what I've done is use the target to translate what my cues from the ground in this riding position mean. So basically what this looked like is that I would put my hand, for example, on the right side of her neck, and I would be asking her to turn to the left by that tactile cue. Similarly, if you were riding and you put your right leg on, you'd want the horse to move off your leg and turn to the left. So I would put my hand on her, and then this might make her, a little bit nervous. She's not understanding what it means, and I would simply show her the target to translate what my hand meant. And in doing that, she got really confident about what my hand meant. And this also goes back to kind of another principle, that when you can turn something that your horse is a little bit fearful in into a cue, it can really help boost their confidence. And I did that using the target. So another way that this came into play was asking her to go forward from this position. So as I'm in this riding position from the ground, I would just give a verbal cue of walk on, and I would translate using the handheld target to show her what that verbal cue meant. Finally, I also taught her a verbal cue for stopping, which was just swoo, and using the target to translate what the sound of my voice meant. Using the target to translate what different cues mean, especially tactile cues and cues involving pressure, can really help the horse to see that pressure as information rather than as a threat. So using the target to translate was a great way of boosting Mystic's confidence. So method number 3 of boosting your horse's confidence is turning their seeking system on so that the world becomes a place of curiosity rather than a place of fear. So in order to learn what this seeking system is, I'm going to read you guys a little bit of an excerpt from my 5 Golden Rules to the Horse-Human Connection course so that you guys can really kind of start to understand what the seeking system is and how it works and why it's beneficial to turn on in the horse and how it leads to boosting their confidence. So here we go. Jack Panksepp, author of Effective Neuroscience, the Foundation of Human and Animal Emotions, is especially distinguishable for his studies with laughing rats, in which he discovered the rat's high-frequency sound of what appears to be laughing when tickled. I think that Jack Panksepp is humorously referred to as the rat tickler. Jack has identified 7 primal emotions that all feel either rewarding or aversive. One of these primal emotions he calls the seeking system or seeking emotion. Jack identifies the seeking system as a circuitry in the primitive areas of the brain that initiate and maintain a searching behavior. This seeking system is what sends animals out to explore, leaving the nest to look for worldly goods. The seeking system is just as important as the fear system, the amygdala's alarm system that triggers the horse to react with fight, flight, or freeze. So what good does it do you to escape being eaten if you can't also find your own breakfast? Karen Pryor writes in Reaching the Animal Mind. Thus, because the seeking system is so important, the success that it attains, the location that might have a larger water hole or the acorn that might have a good nut inside, is not the only reinforcer that keeps the animal searching and exploring. Mother Nature built another reinforcer for seeking behavior, Karen Pryor says. The exploring is actually reinforcing in and of itself. In other words, it's fun. This gives the scientific rationale of why clicker training is so fun. It activates the seeking system. According to Panksepp, it's easiest to keep the seeking system turned on in an animal when small reinforcers occur at frequent but irregular intervals. Turning on the seeking system is beneficial for training any animal or person, but it's especially important with high fear prey animals such as the horse. When the seeking system is turned on, the fear system is turned off, which can create a certain resilience and padding towards the horse going into a reaction. If the horse is already operating in the seeking system, he will be less likely to bolt, buck, or react in some way than if this system was not engaged. This is because the seeking system and fear system are opposed inside the brain. When the seeking system is turned on by the clicker, the fear system is inhibited because the two systems are incompatible. This means that if you're training using the click and a piece of plastic blows into your horse's face, he's going to be less likely to panic than he would if his fear system were already mildly turned on through negative reinforcement training. It's easier for the horse to be brave when he's feeling happy than when he's nervous or afraid. And one way that this has been demonstrated through Mystic is that her learning has shifted from being super hyper specific to generalizing, meaning that before, every new object I would introduce was a huge deal. So in the beginning of Mystic's training, I was really doubting the clicker training in positive reinforcement because the learning was so hyper specific, which is pretty common in a horse that has undergone any sort of trauma. For example, they will learn to place their head in this halter, but not this halter. Even if the material is the same, but one is newer or, whatever. Any sort of context shift is a huge deal for the horse. And so that was one of my biggest concerns about using positive reinforcement with this, is that in the past I had found using pressure and release and negative reinforcement, the horses tended to generalize more than what I was seeing with positive reinforcement. However, what I realized was that it just takes longer for them to generalize when you're using positive reinforcement and get out of that hyper-specific learning. And when they can get to that point, it seems to be even more powerful. So it takes longer, but it's definitely worth the wait, is my conclusion. So now Mystic's learning has shifted from being hyper-specific to allowing her to make generalizations. For example, if I hold something up in my hand now and ask her to target it, it could be an object she's never seen before, but she's really eager to reach out and touch it. Whereas before, before, I would literally lift like a washcloth, some sort of little material, and maybe she'd target that, but maybe a little bit bigger of a towel, like a hand towel, for example, and she wouldn't target the hand towel. So again, the learning was just super hyper specific in that, how do I know that that towel isn't the same as, you know, this object that I was scared of 2 years ago? So now I can hold any object in my hand, ask her to target it, feed bags, little tarps, the saddle even, and she's targeting it right away. And just for a little humor, my friend David Lichman was here. If you guys haven't heard of him, please check him out. Just YouTube David Lichman, Liberty, for example. He's amazing. And he was here and he always has a lot of fun. And he was like taking his hat off and having Mystic target his hat. And then we had a little bit of fun with it, as you can see in this clip. She is targeting everything, every body part, every saddle, every piece of leather, etc. So that is really exciting that Mystic is finally learning to generalize that all humans and all objects these humans have are really fun and really great. So I'm really, really excited about that. Now her learning has become really generalized to where every object that I introduce is fun and it's time to be curious and playful and investigate. So that happened by turning on her seeking system. And the way that the seeking system is turned on is through the clicker training. All right, so there you have it, the 3 ways of boosting your horse's confidence. Influencing the emotions from the outside in. I did this with Mystic through collection and posture work. Using the target to translate what cues mean, especially cues that are tactile or involving pressure. And finally, turning your horse's seeking system on, which allowed Mystic to start learning that allowed generalizations versus being super hyper specific. So what's next for Mystic? Mystic, like I said, will be going to Arizona with me this winter, and you guys have a chance to see her at the immersion program in November 2019. So again, I'll leave the link for the immersion program below if you guys are interested in joining me and seeing Mystic's training in person. And I will be continuing with the Mystic experiment. It will resume once I get to Arizona. I want to keep filming her progress for you guys. But in the meantime, until the Mystic experiment resumes, we're going to kind of shift gears and you guys are going to follow along in my journey to the Retired Racehorse Project with my off-the-track thoroughbred named Scott's Song, who I call Finn. So there will be a few episodes coming your way on my journey with the Retired Racehorse Project, and after that we are going to look a little bit more in depth in the gentling process, because over the summer I gentled 6 wild Mustangs in our Running Wild retreats, and we filmed a ton. So we're going to be talking about how to gentle wild horses, how to work with spooky horses, how to provide choice and training, and all kinds of fun stuff with them. So lots of good stuff coming your guys' way, and then we will be resuming with the Mystic experiment later on. But get ready to shift gears and follow my off-the-track thoroughbred Finn in the next episode of The Compassionate Cowgirl, and I will see you guys soon.